is an extra credit tutorial for just a fun Photoshop trick. And it uses some of the skills you've already learned, but maybe in a slightly different way. So what we're going to do is make someone or something in a picture a character like they're like from a graphic novel or like a cartoons-ish, and make them like that in a real world. So the initial picture I wanted to try to show you guys this was this one for the main reason that I wanted to tell you one of the things I'm doing with all of my time off is I'm learning to juggle. So this is me learning to juggle in my wheelchair with my boot on my foot, and I tried this one first with the edit and it just didn't work. Probably because you see how the balls are like out of focus and a little bit of my arm here too. If you know the reason for them being out of focus, you may comment it when you hand in your extra credit picture. I think you know the reason, and that will get you double extra credit. But this picture just was not working, so I wanted to try a different one. So I went with this one. This is a picture of my son, and I took this of him taking a picture on our vacation this summer. And what we're going to do is make him look like he's a character in the world. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the ball. I know it's not really called the ball, but that's what I call it. And we're going to go up and try a layer called threshold. And what threshold does, you'll see it right away. It reduces the picture to just black and white, not like black and white photography, but like literally there's only black and there's white. There's no gray. There's a slider over here on this little graph, which looks, it's like a histogram graph. And you can slide left or right to adjust how your picture looks and how much black there is and how much white. So on this picture of my son, I'm going to move it until I want to see his legs at least a little bit, maybe his feet or at least 1 foot. I want to be able to see his arms. And that, for me, that looks pretty good on this picture. I'm going to show it to you on one more picture and show you how sometimes you have to fine tune it. Okay, so what we could do that you already know is grab a paintbrush. And I hope you've already noticed there's 2 paintbrushes over here. There's the brush and there's the history brush. Stay away from this one for now because it does something totally different. We could get the paintbrush, we could set our color to black, and we could paint all of this area black. This is called layer masking, to make it go back to the real world like that. But I want to show you, I'm going to undo a different way. Since you're getting extra credit, I want you trying something new. So what I'm going to do is click back onto my background layer. So that's where the picture is. And I'm going to do a select subject. Now, sometimes I think my screen recorder is covering it up, but sometimes select subject is hanging out down here on your screen. And it's just in a pop-up. So that's cool too. But if you don't see that, you can go to select subject. And what Photoshop is going to do is it's going to try to identify the subject in the picture and make a selection of them. In other words, they're going to start having a blinky line around them. Wow, my computer is really slow. I don't think yours will take that long. Okay, so now Ansel has a blinky line around him, and it's a pretty good line. You can see if I zoom in, something weird going on here under his arm, but we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click back to our threshold layer, and we are going to make sure we're on our layer mask, which is this little box over here. Sometimes you're not on the layer mask. You're on the layer thumbnail. We want to be on the mask. Okay, make sure there's that box around it. Now, we don't actually want to color in Ansel or the subject black. We want to color in everything else. So we're going to use a math term here. Inverse, you probably learned it in your math class. Inverse is like opposite, or like you do an inverse fraction, you flip the numerator and denominator. So in photography or in Photoshop, we can go to select the inverse, or you could do Shift Control I. And what that's going to do is it's going to turn this selection inside out. In other words, instead of my son being selected, now the whole background is selected. And I could take my paintbrush and color inside there. And you'll notice I can paint right over him, and it's kind of missing him because he's not in that selection. He is outside of the selection. I'm going to undo that. There's another way to do it, and I want you learning new things. I could paint it, or I could go to Edit, Fill, with the color black. And then it will just fill all that outside space with black and a quick little layer mask. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to press Control D to deselect so he's not blinking anymore, and ta-da. Now, if you look closely, when I did select subject, Photoshop did a great job until it got down to this one foot. So I could use a paintbrush to kind of clean that up and like make that foot part of the threshold layer. So I'm gonna leave this one like that. We're gonna go to another picture and try it on just another picture so I can show you the possibly more detailed way. So again, I'm gonna go to threshold. I'm gonna adjust the threshold. You know what? I already like that one just like that. This is me, by the way, at the entrance to a cave. I can't remember where this cave was. Okay, so I'm gonna go to select subject and see if Photoshop can detect me. Now I just made an oops. I am not on my background layer. So it's possible that Photoshop is gonna go, what? I don't see a subject here. I don't know if it'll work. Ha! It saw me anyway. Okay, cool. So I'm going to, on my thumbnail, edit, fill with black. Oops, what did I forget? I'm going to undo that. I forgot to invert it. Select, inverse, and fill with black. Sorry, my dogs are being really loud. Okay, I'm going to press Control D to make it stop blinking. Everything looks pretty good. My hair is not perfect here. But what I wanted to show you is sometimes when you do a threshold layer, you lose too much detail. So like this chin here, it's kind of like lost. What I can do is go back to my background. I'm going to press Control J to duplicate my background layer so that I'm editing on a copy. And I'm going to use a new tool that you haven't used before called the Burn tool. Normally for you guys, it'll look like this. It's the dodge tool. It lightens things and it looks like a lollipop. But if you click and hold it, you can go to the Burn tool, which looks like a fist. And it's a brush, so you can shrink it down with, or make it bigger with the brackets. Burn makes things darker. So the reason that my edge of the chin here didn't show up is because it was very bright in the picture. So if I do a couple clicks here to burn, now there is some definition there. You can actually see my chin. I could keep going. I don't want to look like I have a beard or anything, but there we go. Okay, so burn will darken parts of your picture. Possibly you could use dodge also if there's parts that are too light to get a good picture with a threshold. Okay, so again, if you try this out, turn it in, it's extra credit. And if you can tell me in your private comment why the juggling balls are blurry, double extra credit. All right, hope this is fun.